Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about something that can totally reshape a childhood. It's called parentification. We're going to explore what it actually is, look at a few signs that might feel a little too familiar, and see how those echoes can stick with us, long after we've grown up. So let me just start by asking you this. Think back. Were you the one your parents turned to for emotional support? Did you ever feel like you were the referee in their arguments, or maybe their own personal therapist? If any of that is ringing a bell, then you're definitely in the right place. So what is parentification, really? Well, at its heart, it's basically a role reversal. And I don't just mean a kid being helpful or doing chores. This is when the entire flow of care gets flipped on its head, and the child feels this obligation, this duty to be the emotional or practical support for their own parent, or even a sibling. So to really get a handle on this, we're going to break it down into 5 common signs, or maybe you could call them roles, that kids in this situation often find themselves in, a lot of the time without even realizing it's happening. Let's see if any of these feel familiar. Okay, our very first sign is a role I think a lot of people will recognize immediately. It's what we call the little adult. This is the kid who always got praised for being so mature, so responsible, just wise beyond their years. But here's the thing, that maturity, it wasn't really a choice. It was a necessity. So what does that actually look like in real life? Well, it could be a kid who was somehow involved in handling the family bills or took on major responsibilities that were way beyond their age. They just learned to kind of push down their own kid-like feelings because they're carrying the weight of the world on their little shoulders. All right, number 2. This one shifts gears a little, from all the practical duties to the emotional one. This is the peacemaker. The peacemaker's job, basically, is to be the emotional thermostat for the whole family. They are constantly working behind the scenes to keep everything calm and stable. They get so good at reading the energy in a room, you wouldn't believe it. They're always jumping in to mediate fights, soothe someone's hurt feelings. They become total pros at de-escalation. But the cost is that they often never learned how to recognize or even speak up for their own feelings. Okay, number 3. And this one takes that emotional burden and really cranks it up a notch. Meet the confidant. This is the child who becomes their parent's main source of emotional support. It's a role that, let's be honest, should be filled by another adult, a partner, a friend, a therapist. So they're the ones listening to all the adult problems, money worries, marriage troubles, and they're even expected to give advice. They have to keep these huge, heavy secrets that, frankly, are just too big and scary for any kid to handle. On to our 4th role. This one is all about that intense, hands-on responsibility. This is the caretaker, and their role goes way, way beyond just doing chores. We're talking about being the primary person responsible for the physical or emotional care of other family members. Yeah, this isn't just babysitting on a Friday night. It can mean basically raising your younger siblings, or being the main support system for a parent who is sick or disabled. The lesson they learn, deep down, is that everybody else's needs are more important than their own. And that brings us to our 5th and final sign. This one is all about the crushing pressure to succeed. This is the overachiever. For this child, getting good grades or winning awards isn't just about them. It's like their success is seen as the solution to the family's problems, or the one bright spot of hope. So you can imagine, this creates this intense, crippling fear of failure. The pressure isn't just to do well, it's to be perfect. Every single A on a report card, every trophy, it all feels like it's the glue holding the family together, and anything less feels like a catastrophic failure. So, okay. Those are the roles we can get locked into as kids. But that's not where the story ends, right? These things don't just disappear. Next, let's look at how these early experiences show up in our adult lives, because these patterns, they can be really, really persistent. And this is where it all clicks into place. You can see a straight line from these childhood roles to adult struggles. For instance, the caretaker child. They often grow up to be adults who find it almost impossible to set boundaries. Why? Because they learned their value comes from always saying yes. The overachiever might battle burnout and perfectionism, still chasing that feeling of finally being good enough. It just makes sense. Wow, this quote really just gets right to the heart of it all, doesn't it? The fundamental core lesson you learn when you grow up too soon is how to take care of everyone else before you even have a chance to learn how to take care of yourself. And unlearning that is a huge part of the journey. Now, recognizing these patterns isn't about blaming anyone. It's not about that at all. It's about understanding. It's about getting insight. Because once you understand something, you have the power to change it. And this is probably the most important thing to take away from all of this. Your past doesn't get to write your future. Seeing these patterns, these echoes, it isn't a life sentence. It's actually the first step towards freedom. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Once you can see the pattern, you can start to make new choices. You can start to give yourself the care you always needed. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What is one small way you can start to offer yourself some of that care that you didn't get? Maybe it's setting one tiny boundary, or just letting yourself rest without feeling guilty, or just admitting to yourself, hey, I'm feeling sad today. What's one step you can take? Something to think about. Thanks for listening.